My name is Helen Gaynor. I'm based working in Wexford, and I have worked in education. I have worked in a music school setting. I have studied fine art as a mature student, and I have been working since 1995 in the arts in Wexford. I suppose I have got 2 awards from Artlinks. The first one was a mentoring one, which was in 2008, which I have done a little calculation and figure it's about 13 years after I had graduated. And for me, that was a significant part, or a significant reason for applying for the mentoring award, because when you're in college, you have somebody over your shoulder all the time. You leave college and you have nobody. You're in splendid isolation. And I suppose you could say I was having a reasonably successful visual art career at that time. But I had, in the summer of 2008, I had a 10-day stay at Kilreely Artists Retreat in Kerry. And something about the location there, the space and the panoramic view of things made me feel that what I suppose the scale I tended to work at, I suppose I hadn't thought of it in terms of scale, more in terms of shape. I had tended to work pieces, by the way, I'm a painter. I didn't say I was actually specifically painting, but I tended to work with pieces that were square in shape, and as such they were, I suppose, quite balanced, but very contained. And something about being in the place of Kilreely made me feel that the square wasn't a suitable shape to try and express something of what I was seeing in front of me there. And then I remember on the bus journey away from the wilds of Kerry, there was a sort of a rocky rib of terrain on the left-hand side for part of the journey, a mountainous sort of region, and I kind of thought, again, that needed space, it needed something more. So I was already coming to a conclusion that I needed to change something in how I was working. And then I got the opportunity to apply for the mentoring award, and was really pleased to see that there were 2, I suppose, very well established and well recognised people who were the mentors on that. So that was really an important kind of a first step for me. I found the actual mentoring experience a really positive one. I had to submit information beforehand, and I had to bring some work with me and images of work. And we had a very frank and full discussion about the work. And basically the one big thing that was coming across was the fact that I needed to look at my scale, which in a way, I suppose, I hadn't quite put words on it, but I had arrived at something of the same conclusion myself. So I actually remember coming out from that first mentoring session feeling really excited and I suppose full of enthusiasm to go and find ways of dealing with what I found difficult about the whole idea of bringing the scale to a much larger scale. Very practical reasons. Things like storage, things like the fact that I didn't like working on canvas. I actually preferred a firm surface to work on, and obviously if you have a firm surface then you actually run into storage problems. But I took advantage then. I think there was a follow-up, which you could choose to do a follow-up session in July of 2009, which I chose to do, just really to sort of bring along what I had tried to do since then. And I suppose I was very encouraged by how they reacted to that. And I was working towards an exhibition in Wexford Art Centre in October 2009, and I was in very esteemed company. Hughie O'Donoghue was in the other space down there, and so it was for me a great opportunity, because critics don't leave Dublin very often, and Aidan Dunn came down to see who we are. I don't know what he saw me do. And one of the pieces that he particularly mentioned in a very positive way was actually one of the pieces that I had done, I would say specifically as a result of the mentoring thing, because I had chosen to do a large piece that was on one wall, but it was made up of 9 pieces, and that was one of the ways in which I sort of overcame the difficulty of size. I actually did a composite piece, basically. And he referred to the fact, the name of that exhibition was Sea Change, and he referred to the fact that my work had undergone something of a sea change. More recently, I've had a bursary that was for a multidisciplinary project, and it was a project that involved the visual arts and literature. Now, I had started writing, I suppose, back in 2010, I think it was, partly because I had taken on a choir directorship, which was taking a lot of my headspace, and I wasn't doing as much painting, actual physical painting, as what I wanted to do, and found myself on regular daily journeys with my dog. I found myself actually taking mental notes of what I was seeing. So I started coming back to my home after the walk and just jotting down what I had seen in terms of colour, light, shape, whatever struck me. And after a time I realised, I think I'm writing here. And it wasn't planned, it was absolutely accidental. But I decided that having spent about a year consistently working like that, I decided, I think there's a project here, and I saw it as a visual and a project that would have text as well. Now, I had used text before in painting, but it was more, I suppose, words that I put in that were connected with the subject of the painting, but the script was as much a textural thing as it was a written thing, whereas this project was more writing, but I wanted to explore what I might be able to do with it visually, and I wanted to actually look at online publishing and see, could I play around with images and text, and what would come about as a result of that. So that's what I actually got the bursary for, and it was at a time when the bottom had fallen out of the economy. So one didn't have that much money to spend on something. So the idea of having kind of earmarked a certain amount of money to actually do this meant that I actually did do some work, and I had to proceed with it as well. So when the program, the software, got the better of me, and on a few occasions when I could have thrown my hat at it, it meant that I actually didn't, but it was a huge boost to me, and I think that's one of the great things about any of the awards that people get, even if they're not life-changing in the sense that they're not going to kind of free you up financially to do stuff. They're not the ones that I have received were certainly not of that scale. It is, we all kind of need a little bit of, I suppose, to feel that we are valued in some way, or that the work that we're doing is in some way valued, and that it's worth doing and to keep going. So I think that's a huge part of any award.